aeration part of it, and that's where the biological part happened in concrete tanks. Well, the hybrid aerated lagoon is you put that aeration in a lagoon, but you still have clarifiers and filters and screens. So it's basically, instead of building one concrete basin, you just leave the existing earthen basins and put some equipment in there. The aerated lagoons are building lagoons, putting aeration equipment in so you add oxygen to the bugs, and then also using a settling pond, or what we call a polishing pond, which again is an earthen lagoon. And then we also had a sagger because we have to get our ammonias down, and lagoons don't do real well at getting ammonia down. It gets some of the other compounds down fairly well, but the ammonia doesn't do a great job at. So the sagger is just basically, they call it a submerged detached growth reactor. But it's gravel and it's optimized to do ammonia treatment. So if we're going to go that process to meet the effluent criteria, we've got to get the ammonia down. And then we also have to get our phosphorus down, so we have tertiary filters on the end. So that's number 6 of the sort of long list that we've shortlisted down. And just in terms of footprint, I just showed just mechanical plants. So that's basically all those 4 options. So you put the mechanical plant, it can go anywhere, but it makes most sense to be close to the road. Use 1 or 2 of these lagoons as flow equalization, and then use another lagoon for sludge storage. And then again, the hybrid one is a very similar setup with kind of the mechanical parts up in the far corner, and then again using the lagoon, the other lagoons that you're not using for equalization and sludge storage. The aerated lagoon takes a bigger footprint than the mechanical facilities, so it would end up using sort of basically three of these lagoons, although you don't need sludge storage. So sludge storage would end up being in here, so you still have vacant space there. So that just kind of show you that the options we're looking at do fit on your site plan quite readily, and there's also space there for phasing as well, so that they can grow with the community.
I have a question back one slide.
Sure.
Number 3 doesn't have the grit removal, and number 4 has the grit removal. What's the difference between 3 and 4? That one has the grit removal.
Well, and I guess the difference is, and really grit removal shouldn't be there, but
okay.
But what happens then goes in the lagoon, does the grit removal for you.
That's why I wondered why it's included in that one.
Yeah, and that was just, it wasn't taken out when I put it together.
Okay.
But that,
it doesn't need the grit.
It doesn't need it because the lagoons will do the grit removal. And grit's basically sand, so it settles like crazy, right?
I guess that's seen an extra step and not that we're supposed to be close to the same.
Yeah, no, and you're absolutely 100% right. They're supposed to be there, be out there. Value engineering, and what I mean by that is basically and there is this whole formal process of value engineering where it's a whole discipline, and you can get degrees, and that's really sort of what I'm talking about, but not quite. Really what it is in this context is just looking at items that you don't absolutely 100% need to meet the main function of the plant. So we looked at it and said, okay, the main function is to treat sewage at a certain flow to get a certain effluent criteria that the Ministry of the Environment is going to be happy with, and the environment is going to be happy with. And, so what were the things in that design that we could remove fairly easily, not have to build, to reduce some of the capital costs? And some examples where we have 2 sewage screens, we could take one screen out and then have a manual rig as a backup, right? They have two mechanical screens as sort of standby standby and backup, or operationally and backup. So you could use a manual screen as your backup. They had a biofilter for odor control on the headworks, and again, these lagoons are fairly remote, and there are a lot of plants that don't do odor control on the headworks, so you can eliminate that. solar de-aerators, the solar-powered aerators in the sludge lagoons. Again, there are a lot of sludge lagoons in the province, and like Forest is a good example, that don't have aeration in the sludge lagoons, so you don't really need that. There was heat recovery ventilators in two of the buildings, and quite expensive. It was about $750,000 in the tender. Again, we don't see that very often in a lot of our designs. There's also ways to get the ventilation reduced down, so you could remove that as well. They also, as part of the green stuff, had what they call effluent heat recovery. And there's only one plant I know of in Canada that does that, and that's out in Vancouver. They built it for the Winter Olympics, just as kind of demonstration and showcase plant. So those you can eliminate fairly easily. I know I've talked to some of the working group members, and they've got some other ideas as well. So just that list there saves about $2 million. And so there's other things we could do as well. Like we put generators outside in purpose-built enclosures instead of building bricks and mortar building around them, and that saves the ventilation costs and those kinds of things. So there are things that we could sit down and kick this plan around or kick the existing drawings around and and see what you absolutely have to build, what we could do differently to save some money.
When do you have to do that? You could do that after the tender has been out. You can come back after the tender, you receive the tender. You could take those.
You could do that, yeah.
Do it, so.
Yep. Yeah, you can do that at any
time through the process. If there's something there, you can have it tendered and then do it later.
You could, yeah. Yeah, and I mean, we've done that on projects that we've done, that I've done, that come in over budget. We've sat down with the contractors and said, okay, what can we do here?
But the better way would be to make sure that you specify those as provisional items in the tender, so that the contractor prices them separately, so then there's no argument when you take it out that you have a specific price for that item. So yeah, we try and identify all the provisional items, and then you can sort of have a menu. Well, should we pay this amount for this item?
Yeah.
And do it like a cost benefit analysis after the tenders are
Yeah.
in.
Just a quick question, Mike. With regards to something like solar generators, does it actually prevent us from having heavier costs further down the road because the sludge build up? If it's paying now or paying later, is there a benefit to having it now?
I don't think there is. I just calculated the sludge storage volumes in one of those lagoon cells of the 4, and you've got about 30 years of sludge storage at MOE rates, and the sludge will break down without that aeration. So I don't think it gives you as much a benefit, because you still do get some, like there is always wind action and all that kind of stuff. It does get some air, some oxygen into that process. And it actually may not having it help because it keeps everything quiescent so things can settle and compact, whereas if you've got this aerator mixing it up, the sludge will stay fairly fluffy. So I think it's a hard question. It's hard to say whether it would give you a huge benefit or not. And then here's our evaluation. I know you guys all read that. And that is in the table, and I do have slides that break out some of these things too. So I just want to talk a little bit about this and what we've done. We've had our 6 that they'll call our short list, but then we're going to also have a short list at the end. So our longer short list. And looking at the 6 that we talked about in the other table, they all meet the effluent criteria, so they all are technically capable. They all do what we call tertiary treatment, so a fairly high degree of effluent treatment, high quality effluent treatment. The mechanical plant, or the orbals, have the most control. So mechanical plant, you have most process control. You can turn things up, turn things down, and play with them. The area